Hi guys! Welcome to episode 2. If you're out there and you'd like to interact during the show, make sure you watch on YouTube. I put the link down below. In the YouTube comments, I can see them and they pop up on the program that I'm using, so I can kind of drag them into the screen and share them, but unfortunately Facebook doesn't let me do that, so if you're watching on Facebook, try and hop on over to YouTube. Today is the second episode. I have an awesome guest for you, my friend Alexa. She's an amazing dancer. She can do all styles, and she's also a poet, and she's just awesome at a ton of different stuff, so I'm really excited for the conversation that we're going to have. So I'm going to play a little video of her dancing just to show you how awesome she is, because I love to hype up my guests, so let me do that. And we also have a clip of another project she's working on. Awesome! So yeah, she is phenomenal, and you saw a little sneak peek of a poetry book that she's working on. So now, without further ado, I'm going to bring her on in. Let me do this. Let me give you some applause. Yay! Awesome! So welcome, Alexa. Give the audience a little background. Who are you? What's your history with dance? Where are you from? Tell us the story of your life.
All right. Well, thank you, Haley, for having me on. I'm so excited to do this. Let's see. My full name is Alexa Marion Ayers. My middle name is my grandmother's name. I'm 20. I'm from Queens, New York. My mom just got home. She's making a lot of noise.
I can't hear it. Don't worry.
I've been dancing ever since I was 2, and then I stopped. And that's my dog. 1 second. Sorry, guys.
That's okay. We love a pet.
Yeah, his name's Oliver.
What kind of dog is he?
He's a Yorkie. He was hiding under my bed. I didn't even know he was in here. So I've been dancing since I was 2, and then I went back when I was 8. And then I started taking it serious, I would say, probably like 15. I was like a competitive dancer for a long time. You know the drill, the competitions every weekend, the no hanging out after school, that whole thing. And then I fell out of it for a little bit because I think it was more of like a fear of failure type of thing. So I just like stopped and was like, oh, it's not for me, forget it. But that never felt right when I said that. Like I was always like, oh, I'm not going to be a dancer. That's fine. But every time I said it, I was like, that just doesn't feel right. So that's when I decided to do Pro Sun. And fortunately, they let me in, and that totally changed like 180, like my whole, I don't know, it was like the best 4 months of my life, honestly. A lot of growth during those 4 months, but yeah, and that's where I am now. And then the whole world shut down. So
Yeah, so
That's
when did you actually finish ProSem? You just recently did it, right?
I did actually. It's so crazy. We were all just talking the other day. We were like, guys, it's been a year since we had our first day
In
of
a
ProSem.
year?
It's been a year. We started in
Wow.
August of 2019, and our last day, our showcase was December 8th. So it's literally been a year. It's just so crazy. I can't
Wow.
even believe it. Because I remember being like, I have like all my archives are popping up. Fourth day of ProSem, and I'm just like it doesn't even make sense that it's
And when you're
over.
in ProSem, it's so funny because my guest last week was a girl who I did ProSem with in
Hmm.
2014, which was like it feels
Yeah.
like a million years ago. But when you're in that ProSem world and you're just like totally
Oh,
immersed in it, it feels like 100 years. But then it also goes by so fast, and it's like it's its
yeah.
own like I don't know like moment in time and space. Like
Uh-huh.
ProSem is like a different beast.
Yeah, because it was like I was not used to waking up at 5:30 in the morning every single day. Like I literally the first day I was like, I can't do this. How am I gonna do this? I can't. And then next few days and you're just like, oh, okay, like I got this, like I can do this. Next thing you know, I'm like, even to this day, I wake up at like 6:30 in the morning because I
Really?
just like yeah, I just
Wow, that's
enjoy waking up
impressive.
early and starting my day because I would be in the city and like by 11 a.m. I'd like done a mock audition, I'd taken a class, I'd gotten breakfast, I'd done all these things. Like I'm on my way to rehearsal, I feel great. My friends are all like, oh, I just woke up. I'm like, not me.
Yeah, I
I just
know.
felt so good.
I remember I
uh,
used to get like 10,000 steps on my Fitbit by the time I
mm,
finished my 12 o'clock ballet class. And I would be like,
mhm.
all right, what's next? Here we go. What
That was
was
another
your,
thing, like
yeah, oh yeah, all the
go.
ballet. Oh yeah, I was gonna
Oh
say,
my gosh.
what was your concentration when you did COSEM?
I actually, it's funny. I started off as a half contemporary, half um, commercial, like the hip hop street styles. And then we just like spoke about it and they were like, do you really want to be in a contemporary company? I was like, I love contemporary, but no, like absolutely not. Like I
Yeah.
don't see that for myself. And they're like, okay. So I just did full blown like street, which
Wow.
was awesome. I had a lot of friends that did half musical, like our whole pro sem was like half musical theater, half hip hop. It was crazy.
Wow.
Um, but yeah, no, I did total, just complete straight, which
Yeah,
was great.
I was actually a ballet concentration. I did
Oh
like
my gosh,
full
Haley.
ballet. Did
We had a couple. We
six
had a
ballet
couple that
classes.
were, no, it was like 8 classes a week. Cause I don't know, yours was probably different than ours, but we ended up
Yeah,
having to take like 15 a week. Uh,
15 classes. Oh my gosh,
mhm.
they changed it right after. So I
Yeah.
did my prosem. We only had like 14 girls, all girls, just 14 of us. It was like the smallest one in a while, and they
We had like
revamped it after.
42 people.
Wow, it
Yeah.
would be such a different experience to have so many people.
Yeah.
But
And you'd be surprised. Like I remember feeling like, how are we all gonna get close? Like there's no way. We bonded like family. It's like crazy.
yeah, I know
It just
it's
gives you
we were.
like, 'cause
Oh yeah,
going into it, like that was the thing. Like I never wanted to go, and it's so weird because like I never wanted to go into the city to take class because I was always so nervous. But like this is like my community. Like I'm a New Yorker. Like I should feel at home, and I never did. And so I finally found like that community of like dancers. Like I finally felt like I fit in. And that was just really cool. And like we got all emotional talking about it. Like the last day we had to go on. I was like, I like crying in the circle.
yeah, I think that
Yeah.
that's something that is so special about just the dance community in general, and like it might be different in other industries, and I don't know, but I think it is such a community of family. It's more than just coworkers and colleagues. I think to have it be really successful, it's important that
Mhm.
it is a really big community, and you have a safe place. And it's nice to have
Right.
BDC. For us, it's BDC. Other people have
Mhm.
different studios. Wow. Washington Heights is popping tonight. So, but yeah, so I wanted to talk a little bit about just some of the stuff that, like, obviously we love dance. We talk about dance all the time. We were both in a concept video together that was really fun. Our friend Chris choreographed it.
Mhm.
That's how we met. Which
Right.
definitely go check it out. I think it's on his Instagram, and I can like
Yeah.
link it in all whatever. But something that we connect with a lot is we like to talk about the things that we do outside of dance, how we kind of center ourselves. I think that you have a really good head on your body. Not
You'd
just
be
the,
surprised.
not just because you're gorgeous, but also because I think that you have a really great mindset and way of looking at things. I I think of this is just from my perception of seeing what you put out there in the world, but I think that
Mm,
I really like how you prioritize like self care and like really getting
mhm,
in touch with your feelings and who you are as a person. And I think that that helps make you a strong dancer because you are working to be in tune with yourself. So I don't know. I guess if there are any like special ways that you like to do that, or maybe I'm completely wrong, but if you want to talk
no.
about any of those kind of ways that you center yourself, I think that'd be really
I just think I've always felt very like I started therapy like I want to say maybe like a year and a half ago. And even my therapist was like, "Do you like what do you need me for? Because you seem like you figured it all out." And I just do this thing where like I think, okay, I could totally go to the extreme and be like, "Oh my God," and like freaking out. Or I try to just like rationalize everything. So like whenever I feel like stressed about money. Like, for example, my car payment. Like, I didn't have a job during Prosen, but I still had to make my car payment and all these things. So, like, I was like, oh my God, like, how am I going to pay my car payment? And I'm worried I don't have a job and I can't do this. And like, there was a moment where I got so overwhelmed. And I just remember thinking to myself, like, okay, anytime I get like super stressed out about something, why don't I just like give it like a counterpart. So like at least I have the ability to get a job and pay for a car and have the ability to drive myself places, or like, you know, even like, oh, I'm so stressed about something else. Well, at least I have the ability to do that. At least I have what I have. And just like I try to like rationalize situations, like, because it could be so much worse. And that's not to say like I'm gonna, you know, dilute what I'm feeling. Like I always say, like I have a poem that I wrote, like even the most heartbreaking and devastating moments deserve to be felt. So like
Mm.
just feel whatever you need to feel because if you don't, like it just kind of does this, and then it gets to a point where like you don't even know what you're feeling anymore or what's triggering those emotions. Like that was a big thing in therapy for me. I had to figure out what was triggering my anxiety, and once you get a hang on that, because I think also I talk so much, you're going to see, but like
No, that's
talking about it
awesome.
out loud a lot is like really helpful because your brain's like always like going like a million miles a minute. So it's hard to like pick out like the thoughts and like, but if you talk about them and you actually say it or you write it down, it's like, oh, like it's easier for you to like pick one thought that you're having and like put it on paper. And when you see it, you're like, oh, like that makes sense. Like that's what's triggering my anxiety or like that's what's making me upset as opposed to like never really like trying to decipher like what's going through your brain. Like I really think that you just have to feel your feelings all the way through
Mm.
and like, you can't run from it because I used to do that. I would just like put on Friends and I'd be like, I don't want to feel anything, and I would just like watch Friends and like suppress it. But then like that's not in the long run, it's not beneficial. So I always say just feel your feelings, feel what you need to feel, and then figure it out and be sad or be really happy or cry or scream or do whatever you need to do and be human. And I think we need to normalize that more.
Definitely, and I bet that that's probably been having that mindset has probably helped you so much during this quarantine and during this whole thing. I mean, that is like the best mindset that you could have at this time. And I know a lot of people have been struggling, and especially with
Hmm.
dance. I think a lot of times dance it is our industry, it is our job, it is so many things. But also, I think a lot of people dance is their therapy or form
Hmm.
of therapy for them. I know for me, it's like if I don't dance for a few days and I just feel insane, like I just
Hmm.
mentally, physically, like, but you can't figure out what it is. And then you go take a dance class and it's
Yeah.
just release. And so I think without having that mindset that you have, it's probably been really, really hard for a lot of people because we haven't really been able to dance the same way. So I think
Right.
you have kind of like a leg up with already like taking care of yourself. And I think I wish that more people would talk about like mental health in dance and
Right.
in the arts and just in general because I think it's so important and it can only help your art. It can only help fuel you by
Hmm.
like releasing that and unblocking it and feeling your feelings. Like that's the perfect motto to have ever.
Feel your friggin' feelings. They're there for a reason. Like I always say, like your body's trying to tell you something. Like you got to listen to your body. If you start getting like headaches or you start feeling anxious, like there was like a time where I was like, no, I'm fine, I'm chilling, I'm cool, I'm this, I'm that. And every so often I would just like my heart would start to race. And I'm like, wait a second, like I like was not breathing just now. Like I literally would be so anxious to the point where I was holding my breath, but I wouldn't realize it. And I'd be like, well, like why am I doing that? And it's just because so many things like were going through my brain, but I was almost suppressing them to a point where it was like in my subconscious. Like I wasn't consciously thinking about what was bothering me, but it was still there. You know, like all your feelings are still there. They're just not on the surface. And so they still affect you in a certain way. Um, and yeah, I think that like if you ever are feeling like shaky or anxious or sad and you don't know what it is, like you need to figure that out because your body's trying to tell you something, you
Yeah.
know? So,
Yeah, that's so good. And our bodies are instruments more so than
mm,
other people's. So I feel like dancers naturally are more in tune with their body to begin with. But I think
oh
we
yeah,
also are it's so easy for dancers to push aside pain because a lot of the time we do feel pain. So I think that even though we are really in tune with our bodies in terms of movement and control and strength, I feel like it's probably pretty common for dancers to push aside those kind of feelings and those anxious
for
feelings and those
sure.
like everyone that fluttery feeling and it gets worse if you don't deal with it. So I think that that's such an important reminder.
Mhm.
So one of the things that I wanted to do, so we kind of briefly talked about how you're writing poetry and you're working on a little poetry book, which is, I want to get
Mhm.
into that also because it sounds like such a great project. But we always make a craft in this show.
Yay.
So I thought of this idea. You were like one of the first people that I wanted to have on this show, and specifically because I thought, oh, this is the perfect craft for you. So we made some magnetic poetry words. So
Mm.
we couldn't obviously type it up and print it out for you guys while we were live because that would just be very boring. But I'm going to walk you through how to do it so that you can watch this after and redo it. And then we're going to cut up some of our poetry words that we printed out, and maybe we'll make a little poem. I did use some words from your poems that you've been posting that
Love
full
that.
plug. Everyone has to go check it out. But yeah, so basically, just a little quick tutorial for anyone out there who would like to make their own magnetic poetry. It's super, super easy. I just got this Staples printable magnetic glossy paper and I just opened up a Word document and typed up, you know, a bunch of different words, you know, how they have a bunch of A's, you know, you might want to do some multiple words. And then you just print it out, really. It's that simple. I printed it right on this magnet sheet that's 8.5 by 10. And now we're just going to cut it up. And I think it would be such a great gift to give someone. We were talking about this, like to kind of decorate an old Altoids tin or make custom poetry for your fridge. I think that would be such a great gift. So I know it's like kind of early for holiday season, but this might be something that'll save you a lot of time down the road. So yeah, so we're gonna just start cutting this up, and I'd love for you to just tell the audience a little bit about how you started writing poetry, where
Mhm.
you got the idea to start, and then kind of talk about your project that you're working on.
Love it. So, as far as like, I've always been just like in class, you know, like when you're younger and you're in class and you're just like doodling and, you know, everyone's like drawing like little things in their notebook, like all over their notebook. I was always just writing things. Like, I was never much of a doodler. I didn't you know, I had friends that would do like these crazy like flowers and things. And I was always just writing things and they weren't very good because I was like, you know, 11 years old and know what they're very over dramatic. I read them back now and I'm like, oh God, like what was I actually going through at that time? Like they're
But you needed
so
to go through it.
dramatic.
You needed to feel it.
Right. But yeah, so I've always just been doing that for like ever since I can remember. And then I want to say it was my freshman year of college, my only year of college, but I was in class and I was so bored, which is obviously leads to me leaving school. but I was so bored, and I wrote just like this poem that was actually like it to this day. It's one of my favorite poems because I don't know. I think that it's actually pretty good, and I've had people tell me that they really like it, and that's like the one poem that I was like, wait a second, like maybe I'm actually not so bad at this. And so I just like screenshotted it and I put it into like a little folder on my desktop. And every so often, like I would just like sit and write poetry, just like in class or, at home, just, doing whatever. And I would type them up, I'd screenshot them and I'd put them into this folder. And then they would just sit there in this folder. And I had, accumulated like almost 100 of these poems. And I'd only posted like, a few of them on my Instagram. But, my friends would all see them. And then come quarantine time, I was like, what if I just like messed around and like, because I always thought like, what if I made a book? Like poetry books are very in right now. Rupi Kaur, Milk and Honey, R.M. Drake, Atticus poetry. Like it's all over. It's the whole social media craze. It's to post poems. So I was like, what if I actually, just messed around and did this? And like I had nothing to do during quarantine. So I like opened a Word document and I just laid it all out how I thought I wanted it to look, like just messing around. And then I printed it out, I cut it all up, I glued it together, I like made a makeshift like book, like whatever, and I brought them to my friends because we were all quarantined away from each other. So we'd pull up with the Lysol and I'd be like, here's your book.
I love
Um,
that.
but yeah, and then I just had this like little like book that I had made. I have it like right here actually. Let me
Yeah,
just
I
show you.
want
So
to
like I
see.
literally like
It's
made it
thick.
like
She's thick.
she's thick and I wanted like pictures also. Like I don't know if you can see. Like I wanted pictures in addition to like my poetry, like
Mm,
because I'm all about like artists helping artists. So I wanted my idea is to have like, a photographer that wants to, publish things or like someone who draws that wants to like publish their illustrations and then like, have it be maybe have like different versions of the book, but have a version where it's a lot of different people's work in one book. So this way it's like artists supporting artists and like
I love
unknown, like
that.
underground artists that aren't like already 45,000 followers on Instagram, like
Right.
I just thought that that'd be really cool. So yeah, that's kind of how I got started with it. I would never say that I was like a writer. I'd be like, oh yeah, no, I just write some poetry every so often. But now I can finally feel like I can say like, no, like I'm also a writer or I'm also a poet. Like I don't know. Like I feel like we tend to not put a label on things until it's like I don't know. Like I can't say I'm a dancer until I'm like a signed professional working dancer. And I can't say I'm a writer until I'm a published writer, but like, no, like I write all the time. Like I'm a writer. I dance all the time.
Yeah.
I'm a dancer. Like, think, yeah, I think like we take away from ourselves a little bit by like not giving ourselves those titles, can't do that
Definitely.
because your art
I totally
matters,
feel that. I feel like
you know?
that's something that I struggle with a lot, definitely, especially in
Mhm.
dance and it's like I feel like I wait for other people. Like I sometimes I get stuck thinking that I'm on this like conveyor belt, and this
Mhm.
person is like ahead of me. So until they achieve that thing that I want to do eventually, I can't do it. So I can't even work on it.
Right.
I can't call myself that because they haven't done it yet. And it's like
Right.
that's not how the world works. But it's
No.
so easy to get caught up in that and to feel kind of scared to claim who you
Right.
are and who you are at your core. Like, just because you
Mm-hmm.
aren't signed doesn't mean you're not a dancer. Just
Right.
because you haven't published your poetry professionally doesn't mean you're not a poet.
Right.
You are what you create and who you are. And of course, there's a beeping car, so that's fun. But yeah, I
I
love
think
that. I love that so much.
I think also in like the age of social media, it's so easy to get caught up in like, what are other people going to think? Like, you try to, put this facade on social media, especially because, your social media is your resume. Like you can't, you don't want this agency looking and thinking like, oh, she's depressed because she posts sad poetry, like all these things. Like you have to be motivational all the time and posting your workouts and like in shape and all these things. And it's like I almost feel like in this industry, it's hard to be like just human.
Mm,
Um, so I think like especially during quarantine, like I didn't feel very motivated to dance. I don't like the Instagram live classes. I don't like the online classes. It's just not for me. And that's not to say I'm like so proud of the dance community for trying to keep it going. And I see so many people that are always taking class, and I'm like, go off. But like, it just wasn't for me in my 2 feet of space in my apartment. So I don't know. I like turned to other creative outlets, and that sparked a journey of this book that I didn't even know was there.
Right.
And it like opened up this whole new part of my life. And I was totally okay with putting dance on the back burner for a little bit, because like I got to do this, and like I'm just so proud of this that like I don't know. I think it's okay to like, I forgot where I was going with this, but it's okay to um
Step
be
out of the
other,
box and
right,
uh,
and be other things than just like, you're not just a dancer, you're not just and you're not just like a label of anything. Like, you can give yourself that title and claim that title, but you're not just those things. And I don't know, like, I had somebody tell me once, I wrote a whole post about it on Instagram, but I had somebody tell me once, like, I posted on Instagram, I've been writing a lot lately, like, it's been very therapeutic. And this person said to me, stop writing and start dancing, you'll feel better. And I was just like, no, like, stop writing, start dancing, you'll feel better. Like, and I was just trying to share like my poetry and like something that's been like interests me. And this person just shot me down so quick. And I was just like, that is, I mean, that's fine. That's whatever. But to stop writing and just dance, or like to ignore this part of myself, would be doing myself a disservice. So I was not going to do that. And thankfully I didn't listen, because now I have this little guy that I've been
yeah.
working with. So.
And I think that's so, so relevant. I don't know about you, but one of the things that we learned in ProSem, which is good, but I think also looking back on the past few years since I've been in the program, since I left the program and have been in the real world, we talked a lot about branding and about, even just in dance of like, what kind of dancer are you?
Mhm.
And it goes beyond that, but it's like, it's so hard because yes, you need to, you want to present a smart, concise package to your future employers and
Mhm.
the casting directors, and they want to know what they're going to get. But at the same time, something that never has sat well with me is like, I have to pick one way to
Right.
express myself. Like, I love ballet. I'm not going to be in a ballet company. I would say ballet is probably one of the styles that I'm best at. I didn't really do street styles. I've really pushed
Mhm.
myself to do that more so, which is kind of funny nowadays when people meet me. They only see me in like street jazz classes
Right.
and like, hip hop classes, which is so funny because that's just not that I have to really
Yeah.
push myself to be
Hmm.
in that zone. That is not where I naturally fit. I'm very much more so like, let's put the point shoes on, let's lift our
Right.
leg up and float and like not be in the ground. But I love street jazz and I love contemporary and I love theater and I love ballet and I love it
Mhm.
all. And I understand the difference of, you have to have a concise package, you have to present yourself and market yourself in a way. But I think that I don't really agree with the whole. I don't know. It's complicated, and I'm sure a lot of people have really interesting things to talk about. But especially even just because you're working on poetry doesn't mean you're not also a dancer. Like, we can be more than one
Mhm.
thing. We are full
Mhm.
humans. We're not just like robots. And I think it's hard when Instagram is, especially Instagram, we can't just really like post a picture of our avocado toast like our friends from high school,
Right.
and sometimes people
Right.
don't understand that that is our visual resume. But even just that, it's like, I don't post. I have a separate account where I post like my DIY stuff, and I made this
Right.
separate YouTube channel that's not my dance YouTube channel because you don't want to confuse
Mhm.
people, but at the same time those things are still me. And like,
Right.
it's this weird balance that I'd love to hear more people talk about and hear other people's opinions, because I think it is something that's maybe newer in the world of social
Mhm.
media that we have to navigate, that maybe our mentors and people above us didn't really have to deal with when they
Right.
were coming up. They could be a full dancer and present that, but then leave the studio and
Right.
I don't know, go take a
Right.
knitting class, and like it wouldn't affect their
Right.
job if they like took a picture with their knitting needles. I don't
Yeah.
know. I mean, I don't think knitting will like stop you from I don't know. Maybe there are some people who
No,
are like
but
very
you're
anti
absolutely right.
knitting, but like yeah.
I took an intensive once, and they were like, it was actually Galen Hooks, and I love Galen Hooks, and I love her intensives, and she
Oh
just
my
has
gosh,
so much
that video
insight
you
to give.
did. I need to just
Oh,
that video. What is the Billie Eilish one? I'm
yeah.
gonna like link. You need to send me a link to that. I'm gonna put it in the description of this and the podcast
Oh.
because I literally cried watching that. It's so
Ah,
beautiful. So sorry, I just had to gas you
thank
up a little
you.
bit, but
Thank you. No, but the reason she had like recognized me and called me out to do that was because she recognized me from her intensive I did a year before that. And she was like, "Where's my alumni? Like, come out here!" Like, because she even said like, she's like, "I didn't pick you because you did it the best." She's like, "I picked it because I've literally seen everybody do it this way. Like, you're doing it so generic." She's like, "And there's more." So like, and it was just like a whole thing. But back in her intensive, she gave us some pretty solid advice as far as like finding that balance between the two. She said like you can be whoever you want to be. She's like just know the difference between like what you love and what's going to book you jobs. She's like, so that's where that marketing tool comes in. She's like, Alexa, you might love contemporary, you might love all these things, which I do. She's like, but know that like dressing, like I don't know, people tend to think that I have this kind of like, I know I take a lot of heels classes, so I'm very much like that bad
so
bitch vibe, and I'm really not a bitch at all, but like that's just the vibe, especially with like my hair, and like if I put on eyeliner, like I could pull it off really well. And
yeah,
she said like you could go in for like the sweet type. She's like, but more often than not you're probably going to get booked for the bitchy type. She's like, so you just have to decide like, do you want to like, really, you could try really hard for those types, but you're at the end of the day, know what's, if you're trying to book jobs, know what's going to book you jobs. um would
yeah.
so my
I'm the total
supervisor.
opposite. I mean, I'm not like
No,
I
I know
think
what you
I'm
mean, but
pretty much
like,
how I am, but it's pretty hard. You're not gonna like book me for like twerking on a car in some rap video. I mean, like maybe, but that's probably not. That just like makes me laugh just thinking about it. I'm
right,
I'm very much more so like the welcome to Disney
right,
Channel or whatever, which I'm
which is
fine with,
awesome.
but it's also like you don't have to limit yourself to that. You can
Of
still train. You can
course.
still work. I could still
Of
take some heels classes and work on that side of myself. Just because that's not what people see automatically doesn't
right.
mean that if you want it, you can't mold and
Mhm.
figure it out.
Right. Like I just did a photo shoot recently, and it I don't know, I just posted a picture on Instagram, but literally like had no top on, like had a jacket over it. And in the picture I look so like seductive, like I know exactly what I'm doing. And you should have seen me behind the camera. I was like, I'm so awkward. And he was like, you're fine. I was like, no, like everything is just all, I like, you don't realize what goes on behind the scenes, Like, so it's the perfect example of like Instagram is just this perfect like cookie cutter version of what you want to show people. And it just, I don't know. It's like I have a love and hate relationship. I think it's so cool that like, we can present ourselves that way, and we can literally book jobs off of social media. But I also wish, like, I just wish almost sometimes it didn't exist. Like, it's a cool tool to, people are literally launching their careers off of Instagram. But at the same time, like, I always feel like, I don't know, like, I literally said to like my friend, I was like, if I was in a sorority, let's say I was in college, like I can't just go posting like my sorority pics on my Instagram. Like it just doesn't look professional.
Right?
And that's so stupid.
Yeah.
Like it's so stupid. And it's just,
I see
and
it
it wasn't always like
changing a
that back
little.
then.
I feel like people are getting a little more free with their Instagram. I don't know if it's just
Yeah.
quarantine, but I've seen a lot of people, posting less professional pictures. But at the same time, it still is a brand. If your brand is
Right.
that you're kind of messy and fun, you're still doing that. So it is
Right.
interesting. It's definitely finding that balance. I think finding balance is the key to everything. Really, it seems.
Right. You have to come to terms with like, okay, like I'm not this bitchy person. I'm not that type. But if that's how people are going to view me, and at the end of the day, that's what's going to book me and get me money, then I might as well just do that, and like just if that, take the job. No, be smart about what's gonna book you the job. But at the same time, like I can go take my contemporary. Like I just think like I think we want them to be this like cohesive thing. Like I can just be who I am and like, but it's not the reality of it. So once you just come to terms with like, okay, so I have to put on this face and I have to be this person that maybe I'm not necessarily all the time, but that's okay because that's what they
Yeah.
want to see. And so I'll just give it
It's
to them.
acting. It's I think that people forget
Right.
that dancers are also actors at their core just because we're not speaking all the time. We are telling a story and that is acting.
I mean, look at like I always say, like look at Lady Gaga, who's so theatrical on stage, and then people see her like just going grocery shopping, and she looks totally normal, and they're like, "That's Lady Gaga." I'm like,
She's not wearing
guys,
a meat dress to the grocery
hello,
store.
like, it's at the end of the day, she's Stephanie Germanotta. She's not Lady Gaga all the time.
Yeah.
So, but it makes her money. It's got her booked and blessed. Whereas Stephanie Germanotta probably struggled for a little bit before Lady Gaga came into existence
Yeah.
and blew up the universe. So
We need to find our Lady
thanks.
Gaga and our Sasha Fierce.
Mhm.
So I think now is the perfect time. I'm going to put my little special graphic on. And this is a time where if anyone out there would like to, what's the word? Um, join in. We're going to play Would You Rather. So I have these little cards. If you want, you can type in your Would You Rather, what you would pick. So I'm going to pick one green, let's see, and one red. Some of these are a little silly. Okay.
Love it.
Would you rather live in a nice house in the middle of an active volcano or seep chili sauce from your pores when you sweat?
Oh man. Oh, I'd have to go with the house with the volcano
Yeah, I don't think I could just. I sweat
because I
so
sweat
much.
every day, but volcanoes don't erupt every day all day
Yeah,
long. But
you just
I
have to have like an emergency bag, so and like
right,
not be too like connected to your items.
right. I mean, I'd rather have the chance to run out and live than for the rest of my life see chili sauce out of my pores.
Yeah,
So
and then if it got in your eye, that would be
it
bad.
probably burns.
It would be
Yeah.
bad. Okay. Last one. Would you rather never be able to close your eyes
Mm.
or fart flames every time you kiss someone?
Oh, never be able to close my eyes at that
Yeah,
point.
my eyes are staying
I'll just put
wide
a
open.
mask over my eyes.
Oh my gosh, that would be, yeah, that was an easy one. Definitely eyes
Yeah.
open. I don't think farting flames in any sort of, at any time would not be
No.
enjoyable.
No.
Okay, awesome. So, I don't know if, I was thinking maybe, I'm putting you on the spot a little bit, but you can say no. I was wondering if you would like to read one of your poems for us.
I would love to
If
do
you,
that.
okay, perfect. 'Cause if you didn't want to, then that's totally okay. And then after that, we can jump into some of my other fun questions.
I love that.
Yeah.
Oh, I have to decide which one to read.
I know
Oh
you
my
do
god.
have so many good ones, and
I do
everyone,
I have a lot.
I'll take this moment to plug your Instagram. So on the screen, you can see her Instagram, and I'll have it in the show description and everything. And I'll also put your poetry Instagram that you've kind of secretly snuck out there recently
Yeah.
onto the
I
gram.
have not really told many people about it because I wanted to make it nice before I like, I wanted to make it cohesive at least. Um, but yeah, it's out there now. So, wait, okay, I think I know which one I want to read. I just have to find it. So I have this other book that I just made. Um, it's like I made a makeshift like with like the title of my book and like my name and like page numbers. And like I know that there's companies that do this for you, but it took me forever to line it up in Microsoft Word. And then what I did was I went to Staples, I printed it out and I had them chop it down the middle. And then I clipped it so that I could glue this, like I would like bind the book, and then I taped it with like duct tape.
Oh my
And
gosh, you really
it's
like.
just as like I'm giving this to a friend as a gift, but like I mean I definitely can't. I wouldn't not. I have to find a company that can do this for me if I ever were to
I
self-publish
mean, it
this.
still looks very impressive. You're like a full-on
But
bookbinder.
I've saved all of the copies like from like the very first one that I made to like this most recent one because I just think it's so cool to like one day have like the actual book itself. Oh,
Yeah, I love that. Oh no, I lost your sound. Oh,
okay, so I'm here.
You're
You can hear me.
you're good. Whenever you're ready.
Okay, cool.
Oh no, you cut out again. Hello. Try again. Can you hear? If you're here and you can hear her, say
Can you hear me?
yes. I think.
Okay. I think my AirPods died. So
Oh,
this is
that
why
might
we
be.
don't repeat AirPods because they don't last. Okay. So yeah, this one is more of like a romantic but like sad poem. It's kind of long, but it's like one of my favorite ones. Okay. When you're with someone for a long time, you find yourself in love with the little things they say or do. How they crave their morning coffee, but always leave some in the cup, or the way they purse their lips and scrunch their face when they're deep in thought. And when it's over, those little things suddenly carry more weight than they did before. Something so simple becomes a constant reminder of the relationship you shared. All the memories continue to linger. You both carry on with life, telling yourselves it was for the best, hoping that one day it won't hurt this much, that one day coffee will just be coffee, and you won't be able to remember how they looked in that moment of deep thought. You'll wait for the day when someone else comes around and stays long enough for you to be in love with their little things forever. So,
Oh, that's beautiful. I love
I
that.
love that.
thank you. So that's
Awesome.
just like one of my, that's one of my older ones, but
So
yeah.
good. Okay, so now let me put our other graphic up. Okay, it's time for my final 4 questions. So these questions, there's actually 5 questions, but these questions are, some of them are deep, some of them are silly. You've never heard them before. I don't remember what they are, so I'm just going to pick one of each category, and then we'll see. All right. Question number 1. Are you close with your family?
I am very close with my family. I actually have a very interesting, like you know, some people are closer with their mom than they are with their dad. I would say that equally, I have, you know, we have our issues as everybody does, but I think because we're so close, like there's not really so much of a maternal paternal feeling anymore now that I'm older. It's more like I feel like I can just talk to them about anything and everything, which I'm very grateful for because I feel like a lot of people don't have that opportunity. And I'm also an only child, so they think that I walk on like gold. You know, like I can't do any wrong. I always say like if I said, "Ma, I killed someone," she'd be like, "All right, where's the body? Let's go. Let's get it. Take care." But yeah, I'm very close with my family, so that's good.
That's awesome. Okay, if you could adopt a baby fox or a baby koala, which one would you choose?
Well, koala, so
I heard they're
easy.
kind of mean though. I think both foxes and koalas are kind of mean.
I,
But
I I just picture like snuggling with like a baby koala versus like
yeah,
a friggin' fox. Like
yeah,
I think
I
koala.
agree. I agree. I think I would pick koala too. Okay, what is the dumbest thing you've ever done on a dare?
Oh
I always
no.
pick truth. I never pick dare because I'm a
Oh,
chicken.
it's so funny. I always pick dare because I want people to tell me to do stupid things. Oh my goodness. Well, me and my friends play this game called What Are the Odds? And it's kind of like Truth or Dare. I don't know. Have you ever played What Are the Odds?
No, I've never
So
heard of it.
you say like like my friend one time was like we were walking through the park We did like a socially distanced walk through the park because it was during quarantine and everybody had their masks on. And she goes, what are the odds that you go up to this man and ask him if he has an extra mask or something stupid like that? And you have to count like, okay, and you go 1 to 5, and then you both go 1, 2, 3, and then you pick a number at the same time between 1 to 5. And if you get the same number, you have to do it. Like, and my friends always get mad at me because they're like, you're not going to do it. And so I don't even know if I actually did this, but there's been a few times where we played that, and like, you have to do it. I'm trying to think something stupid.
That scares me, but it also sounds fun.
It's so fun because it's like you have to, if you're gonna play the game right, then you have to do it. I don't know. I don't think that I've ever like had to do something that stupid on a dare. I'm so boring. I usually do stupid things just because that's just who I am. Like I think recently I jumped into the pool like fully clothed. And you would think somebody had to be like, Alexa, I dare you to do that. But like, I'm so much better. Like, yeah, sure, no, I'll do it. Like, you want to do it? Take out your phone.
Yourself.
Yeah, probably. But yeah.
That counts. Okay, and last question of these: what is the weirdest dream you've ever had?
I used to have this recurring dream when I was a kid, and I mean, like, it's just so bizarre. I don't know. I would just have it all the time. Basically, it was me and my parents in our car driving home, and we turned down our block. And as we were turning down the block on the radio, we hear that there's a party of, or there's like a zombie apocalypse going on and it would read our address. So like it would say my old address of my house, and we'd be like, all right, I guess we gotta go check it out. So we'd pull into the driveway, we'd go inside, and I would walk, and I hear like thumping like music, and I walk down into the basement, and it was just my basement with zombies, but they're like having a dance party.
That is so weird.
I would go down and I'd be like, what are you guys doing? And like it would just be a zombie dance party.
They didn't try to like eat your brains or anything?
No. I mean, I remember being very scared. Like, okay, these are zombies, but also like it was like a fist bumping type of party. So I'm like, I don't know what's happening.
I wonder what that means. We need like some dream analysis to comment.
As a kid. Watch, I'm gonna have it tonight too. Now that we're talking about it, like, my dreams never make any sense ever. That's like one thing about me. My friends are always like, "You have the weirdest dreams." I'm like, I know. Like, my dreams never make sense. They're never cohesive, ever.
Crazy. Okay, and then this is our final question that I will ask every guest, past and future. What brings out your most creative self?
Well, we were talking about this before, like how you're kind of creative sometimes without even trying. Like I think that like when I try too hard to bring out that side of me, it doesn't really work. But when I read a quote one time that was like, if you're not seeing anything inspirational, you're walking too fast. And I think that that's so true. Like, there's inspiration everywhere. Like I always say, there's inspiration. Like I was driving one time and I was just like amazed by the sky. And I came home and wrote a poem about the sky. Like I'm just inspired to create without really trying to create. And I think that's what's so cool. Like whether it's like a song that I hear and it like just puts like a vibe in my head, or like I'm watching the Vampire Diaries and I'm like, they're so in love. And then I go and I write a poem about love, like that's the thing. Like a lot of my poems are personal, but a lot of times too, it's like you're portraying a character, like I've never really been through like this toxic relationship that I write about in one of my poems, but like I know toxic relationships, so I just think like what brings out my most creative self is like life, like just like
it's like opening yourself up to experiencing everything that you are. Like I feel like it's like being present in wherever you are, and just letting the creativity come to you and not blocking it off.
I remember one time recently during quarantine, my whole sleep schedule was so off. I stayed up till like 6 a.m. And I remember thinking, okay, I gotta go to sleep. But I was watching the Vampire Diaries, so I was like, all right, this is it. I gotta go to sleep. But then as I was about to go to sleep, I realized the sun was coming up, and I'm like, oh shit, I gotta go watch this. So I went outside on my balcony and I just watched the sun come up, and it was like raining, and I was just standing there. I was just so like, I was almost like taken back by like, just like, if you like really think about it, this always blows my mind. Like, if you really think about how vast this world is and like how crazy intricate like everything is, like you really, really look at it, and you look at how far the sky goes and how big the moon must be, but it looks this big to us, like it just blows my mind. And so where I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go to bed now, I literally came back, I got out my notebook, and I was like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, like I wrote this whole thing. And that was so cool because it was like the entire night for 6 hours just watching Vampire Diaries. Like I was doing nothing, and then all it took was like a single glance at the sky, and I was like, oh, forget it, like I gotta go write this poem now. So I just think like that's what brings out my most creative self, is just being aware of like everything and like of all the emotions like on the entire spectrum. And yeah, just like playing a character, you know, even as a dancer, playing a character, you know, not everything that we put out is who we are. You know, in that Billie Eilish video that I did, she was like, I want you to play somebody that's, you know, coming off of a drug trip. And I was like, all right, well, I don't know what that feels like, but I'm going to do my best. And it just changed my whole performance like drastically. So I think just playing a character and diving into different pockets of different feelings and yeah, all that stuff.
Cool. I love that. Okay, so now if you have anything that we'd like to plug, your Instagram, website, your poetry Instagram, now is the time. Where can people find you if they would like to follow you after this interview?
So my regular schmegular Instagram is Alexa, Alexa, Ayers, Ayers __ is my regular one, where you'll see all the pictures that I post that are not really me, because real me is just not that put together all of the time. And then my poetry Instagram is Alexa M. Poetry. And then also I sell.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I just
Your
totally got.
candles.
Yeah, so this is another like quarantine thing, and I don't really have like a business for this yet. I'm kind of just like, if you want one, I'll make you one. But yeah, they're just these little soy candles. I make them by hand. I put the wick in by hand. I top them with like little lavender buds and rose petals, and I have all kinds of fragrances.
So
And
cool. I love that.
and in the box I put a poem. Like it's really cute. So
I
if you
love
want
that.
to make
That's
a
such a great gift.
yeah, so and they're just, you know, they smell good, they look pretty. My friends love them. So yeah. And that's it.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
that was amazing. It was so good to talk to you. And
Okay.
we'll
Bringing me
see
here.
everyone. I don't know if anyone is. Oh, it says there's 7 people still here. So
I'm
thank
glad
you for
you're interested.
watching, everyone. And if you'd like to follow me, my name is Haley Grove. If you don't know who I am, you can follow me on Instagram or Haley Grove or Essentially Haley. And if you're watching on YouTube, it would be awesome if you could like and subscribe to the video. My goal is to get to 1,000 subscribers before 2021. So I'm at 116 now, so I'm like on my way. But yeah, so definitely if anything in this conversation sparked anything in you guys, let us know. If you try making the magnetic poetry, I'm still cutting mine up. Definitely take a picture and tag us. And I also have a Facebook group that I made for dancers doing stuff, where we can kind of create a community of people who are creative, who value, you know, taking time to create for fun and just play. And, you know, I just want it to be a really great community of people who are like-minded and want to just be their best self. So definitely check all those things out. And I'll see you guys next week. Bye!